Manners and blessings, welcome to the program. Thursday the 10th of April, and yeah, it's political, fam. So today the government has pledged £100 million to put 13,000 new police officers on the beat in patrol cars and in communities to prevent and tackle crime and antisocial behaviour. Interesting. You know, nowadays you can never see the police. I was thinking the other day, just driving, and I saw some police, and they was like driving behind me for a while, and I thought they was gonna stop me, but they didn't. And then it occurred to me how long I haven't been stopped by the police. Now, I know for a fact that there's still issues with the police and the black community all over the UK. This is not a thing that is a niche to London. But I was thinking, is it because there's not as many police on the streets? Or as the generations go on and there's more and more officers from ethnic minorities joining, is it changing? I know police stations are closing all over the place. The one in Dulwich is closed, the one in Streatham is closed. Police stations are closing. Police officers are definitely visibly not as much on the streets. Maybe it's because I drive more. But even driving, unless you see them with the blue lights on, breezing through the traffic lights and things like that, I don't really see much of a police presence. Not sure if that's good or bad. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I was just thinking, okay, so you're gonna invest all this money into the police, there's gonna be more police officers. Is that gonna stop certain crimes that are being committed? Is that gonna stop knife crime, for instance? Is it gonna stop gang crime, for instance? We are increasingly seeing more and more police officers abusing their powers and being outed for it. You know, like, I can count on probably two hands the amount of police officers that have been done for rape, you know, using their police powers to detain people and rape them and abuse their powers. I've seen this a lot in the last few years. So is more police a good thing or is it a bad thing? I'm not sure. But it's interesting nonetheless. I think Keir Starmer is really trying to win over the public. I think he's not doing a very good job as far as his public relations, as far as what he's doing as the Prime Minister. I don't think people like him. I think a lot of people who voted for him wish they didn't vote for him and wish they could take back their vote. I've seen petitions going around. At the end of the day, all politicians are crooks in my mind. I don't want to have to paint everyone with the same brush, but they've all got their own agenda. They all talk a great game, and when they get into the office, they do something completely different. All we can do as believers is pray. You know, the Bible instructs us to pray for our leaders. Although these people may not be believers in the Most High God, they may not be followers of Jesus Christ. At the end of the day, they are leading our country, and God is sovereign. God can turn the heart of the king. God has the power to change people's minds, to change people's motivations, to change people's intentions. So we should continue to commit to pray for people like Keir Starmer, Donald Trump, even people like Vladimir Putin. You know what I mean? People who are in places of authority, we should continue and we should be praying for them, whether we like them or not. In other news, there has been an at-home saliva test for prostate cancer, which seems to be better than the blood test study suggests. Now, I thought this was interesting. Prostate cancer is a thing that is rising amongst all men, but specifically amongst men from the African Caribbean descent are more at risk of getting prostate cancer. There's people that's been in my family. I can think of at least 3 people off the top of my head that have passed away due to prostate cancer and not finding it in time. I can also think of people who have found it in time and had the operation. So this saliva test that you can easily do at home, the headlines say, the story says, I think is a really good thing. At the moment, the the test of having prostate cancer is two. There's a blood test that you can have. I've had that. They advise you to have this blood test. I think it's from even in your 30s. There's also a more evasive test that goes through the back passage. Sorry to put that thought in your mind, but yeah, and they sort of do a physical test. The doctors do that with their fingers to test your prostate, to check your prostate. So I think this at-home saliva kit is a really good thing, and I think it will encourage more and more people to actually do it. There are some people who are scared of tests and things like that, scared of the result, and that's not a good thing. It's good to know rather than not know, because if you know, and especially if you know early, you can do something about it. If you know late, you can't do something about it, but you can make preparations. So I think getting tested is a really good thing, and I urge everyone to do it. I think this at-home saliva test is a brilliant thing, yeah, again, man, praise God for those who are, you know, in the field of research and medical science, and the doctors and the nurses and all these people who are using their education, using the knowledge that they've accumulated in their specialist fields to serve their fellow human, you know, to serve humanity in this way. It's not God's will for us to have diseases. It's not God's will for us to be dying of sickness and all of that. I'm not proclaiming health and wealth for all Christians and this is God's will, but at the end of the day, disease, illness, all of these things are consequences of sin, and are consequences not of our sin, but of original sin. You know, from sin entered the garden with Adam and Eve, death came into it, disease, and all everything that goes with it. So disease and the body decaying and all these things, and that was not in the original plan of God, and we will be back in that state when we have our glorified body, you know, in the kingdom of God. But for now, we've got to deal with these ailments and, you know, bodies being corruptible, but one day we will put on incorruption, the Apostle Paul says. You know, one day we will have bodies that will be incorruptible, bodies that are glorified, and we look forward to that day. But until then, we give thanks for medical science, we give thanks for doctors and nurses, for people who are doing research in all these areas, helping us to live longer, live healthier. Yeah, so the trade wars continues. The empire strikes, or the empire strikes back. Tariff wars, which one? I don't know. But the US pauses, so Donald Trump has done the Ireland pull up. The US pauses higher tariffs for most countries, except guess who? China.
You have offended my family, and you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
So he paused the tariffs on every other country except for China, where I think that's increased even more. Donald Trump is a character. Like I said it before, he's Marmite, you either love him or hate him. It's definitely interesting and funny, and every day something happens. I was thinking about China, and my man ain't backing down. The Chinese leader is not backing down. And I thought to myself, okay, well, do you know what? Like, do the Chinese people even care? Because what is America, what is America really, you know, giving to China that China don't do themselves? I know for a fact that in China, they make a copy of everything. If you want a copy of something, you want something fake, you want I don't know, iPhone, you want a fake pair of Nike Jordans, you want a fake this, you want a fake that, you can find it on some kind of website in China.
The Wasabi brand?
Question.
Which country in the world has counterfeit goods that can surpass China's? It's hard to imagine a country like China possessing such a vast array of counterfeit products, even boasting the largest counterfeit trading center. For these Chinese counterfeit merchants, there's nothing they can't replicate. From luxury brands to everyday items, even food, people's lives are now filled with all kinds of counterfeit products. However, these bizarre counterfeit goods are just the tip of the iceberg in China's counterfeit market.
Because most of the things are made in China. So all these tariffs of things going into China, does China really care? Will they just make a copy of their own and use that? You know, it's interesting the way the Chinese leader is dealing with the thing. He is not intimidated by Donald Trump, and I think that's the message that they're trying to get across. Trump will not intimidate them, whereas everyone else might have to play ball because they ain't got all of these factories and, dare I say, sweatshops when people are working for 10p an hour and things like that. You know, these things don't exist other places in the world, but they do in China. So yeah, it's just interesting to see what is going on. In other news, a 54-hour Arctic blast looks set to hit the UK within the coming days. According to the weather maps from WX Charts, sunshine across Britain could soon be swapped for wintry conditions. Like, there could be a snowstorm coming to England. I mean, right now we're enjoying sunshine. I see people out in t-shirts and shorts and all of these things. And now we're being warned of a snowstorm coming to the UK. And it made me think about Extinction Rebellion and climate change, and wherever you think about global warming and saving the planet, there's something definitely going on with the weather. I mean, April is normally considered the season for April showers. And right now in the UK, we're enjoying a period of warm weather. It hasn't rained in April up to this time. Up to this time, we're out in t-shirts and vests and having ice cream and drinking cold beers in the sun and these kind of things. And now we're being told to prepare for an Arctic blast. No matter what you think about climate change, the weather has changed. You got people talk about weather machines and they're changing the weather, they're manipulating the weather, and I mean, I don't know about all of that. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories and things like that. I haven't seen hard evidence of those things, but what I do know is that the weather is changing and it's something that is happening all over the world. It's not just something unique to England. But I think as believers, we don't need to be worried about things like climate change, because ultimately we believe that the Most High is in control. He controls the weather, he controls the cattle on 1,000 hills, he controls everything. Nothing can, an apple can't fall off the tree without God allowing it to. So the sovereignty of God is something that we must trust in all things in our life, the way our life's going, the situations we're going through, our experiences, you know, the way the world is going as far as Trump and China and Vladimir Putin and, you know, whatever else, Jerusalem and Iran and all of these things. God is sovereign in everything, and that includes the weather. You know, one thing that we do know, the world will be destroyed by fire. So whether we believe in global warming or not, 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 10 tells us that God has his way that he will deal with the world. The day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare. So the Bible tells us, you know, the world will be destroyed by fire. Scientists tell us of global warming. The earth will be destroyed by fire. You can see some kind of association going on. Now, obviously, there will be a new heaven and a new earth after that. What does that exactly look like? What are the graphic details of the world being destroyed by fire and then the new heavens and new earth coming down? I mean, I don't know. We can conjure up things in our imagination, but none of us really know what that looks like. at the end of the day, again, we must trust the sovereignty of God in all of these things, because God is in charge, you know what I mean? So let's not lose sleep over global warming and, you know, recycling and pollution, and we don't need to go and join marches with Extinction Rebellion. We don't need to do all of that. We just need to trust in the Most High God. Anything else is political.